Hey, what's up guys, Matt here, and this is my Nexus 5 review. What makes the Nexus line different from most of the other phones out there is that it's running a stock version of Android. So the way it usually works with most phones is Google releases Android, and then the different manufacturers like Samsung and HTC take that and put their own skin on it, change it up, and release their own phones. But every year Google releases a new version of Android, and this year it's Android 4.4 KitKat, and with that they released their new hardware to show you what the real Google experience should be. And that is what makes the Nexus 5 unique. It's what Google wants the phone to be. So starting off with hardware, this is a very understated phone. There's nothing really flashy about it. It's very utilitarian, and basically it's what you see is what you get. It's made out of plastic, but it's really well made. It has a rubber feel to it, much like the Nexus 7, and it is very precisely cut, so it has nice edges to it. Overall, it just feels really great in the hand. With a lot of plastic phones, you can get some creaking if you try to bend the phone, and it just overall feels cheap, but with this, it feels very high-end and very solid. But even though it's made out of plastic, there are still some high-end touches, the main one being that the buttons, the power button and the volume rocker, are actually made out of ceramic, and it gives you a more premium feel than just a plastic phone. Up front, when the screen is off, it looks like just one sheet of plain glass. There's no buttons, and it's pretty minimalistic, and it looks really nice. But when you turn on the screen, you're greeted with a beautiful 5-inch IPS display. This one's at full 1080p with 445 pixels per inch, and really it looks great. It's an IPS display, which means the color accuracy is going to be really good. You're going to be able to see it pretty well outdoors, and the viewing angles are also very great. Overall, the screen is a joy to use. It's one of the best ones I've used, and also that 5-inch display is in the sweet spot of screen sizes. So it's not too big, but it's also not small, so you can still get a lot out of the screen, but still fit it in your pocket. On the right side of the phone, you have your power button and the SIM tray, and on the left, you have your volume rockers. Up top, you have your headphone jack and a microphone, and on the bottom, you have another microphone, your micro USB port, and a speaker. The speaker is not very good. It's very tinny and doesn't get loud at all. It gets the job done, but it's nothing impressive. On the back of the phone, like I said, you get that matte look to it, so it's very rubbery and great in the hands. And you can also see a huge Nexus logo that spans the back and LG branding. And in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the camera, which I'll get to in a little bit. On the inside, this phone is pretty specced out. It's running a Snapdragon 800 quad-core processor at 2.3 GHz, an Adreno 330 GPU, and 2 GB of RAM. Overall, this phone performs extremely well, and I can say without a doubt it's the best performing Android phone I've ever used, but a lot of that has to do more with Android 4.4 KitKat, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you're looking for a powerful phone that can really handle anything you throw at it, the Nexus 5 is doing pretty well. Now getting back to that camera, the rear shooter is 8 megapixels and has optical image stabilization. And on paper that seems really great. But in practice I found this camera to be the most disappointing thing about this phone, and it's really the most disappointing camera of all of 2013 that I've used. The camera itself is capable of taking some pretty decent shots, but the problem comes when you actually try to get the shot. There really seems to be something wrong with the software. It takes way too long to get in focus and grab a shot. When you pull out your phone to take a shot, it just doesn't work as fast as it should, and a lot of times you miss the moment. Even after I thought I had a shot in focus and would take the shot, it would not be in focus, and there was just a ton of issues with the software. Overall, like I said, the still camera is really disappointing, and that software is really what's killing it right now. On the video side of things, however, the camera does have optical image stabilization and shoots in full 1080p. The video looked pretty good. There was nothing really wrong with it. The colors were okay, and it was just an average camera. But one thing that really stood out about this camera is the microphones. The microphones were incredibly good, very sharp, and really high fidelity. Though the camera software was disappointing, that doesn't mean the entire software suite was disappointing. This is running Android 4.4 KitKat, which at the time of this video is the latest iteration, and I have to say it is the best version of Android to date, no doubt. Really what Google did was just refine the OS even more and update some of the visual elements. Many of the things you can see right on the home screen. First off, you can swipe left to get to Google Now, which is really easy, and you can also just say OK Google right on the home screen and it pops up a Google search. It's pretty nice to have a hands-free option, and there are also some design changes, so it looks a lot flatter and just more unified. They got rid of the blue hollow look and replaced it with a white, and they also made the icons bigger. You now have full screen wallpapers, the app drawer looks a lot cleaner, and overall it's just a cleaner, more refined look. Besides those changes, Android 4.4 KitKat doesn't really have any changes that the user would really know about. Mainly, it's just a lighter OS, which means it's going to be able to run on many different phones a lot better than it does today. 4.4 isn't a huge change, but again, it's the best version of Android to date, and it's really, really good. So overall, the Nexus 5 seems really nice. It has a great screen, great performance, the best software, and really it's just a great phone overall. The only thing lacking is that the camera is really subpar and the speaker's not all that great. But where you kind of start to forget about those things is when you talk about the price. This phone comes in at $350 unlocked for a 16GB version, and that is just an insane price for a phone of this caliber. This is a high-end device, and you're only paying $350. So if you really don't care about the camera but you still want a really high-end phone, then the Nexus 5 is really the best option right now. But if you're someone who uses the camera a lot and really depends on it, then I don't think this is going to be the phone for you. Overall, this is a great Nexus device for this year, and it really shows what Google wants out of a phone, and it's a really great experience overall. So that's my review of the Nexus 5. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to hit that thumbs up, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Like I said, my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!